My name is Chris Cecil, and I live at 237 Cumer Road.
Chris who?
Casella.
Casella.
Yes. In regards to the access road, where it's showing it's coming off Cumer Road, that's already an existing access road down to the waterway. Am I
Down to
correct?
what?
There is an existing access road on Mr. Bonkowski's
That's
property.
on our property.
That's
You're
what I
gonna,
was-
that's our property, that's not.
That's our property, Chris.
I didn't know if that would clarify anything.
No, that's
So
what you
you're
have to
gonna
go
create,
to.
there's already an access road, and you're gonna create a second access road?
Uh-huh.
We're going to do all of our development on the Cecil property, yes.
Okay.
All right, and to answer just a quick question Mrs. Fisher had about not having complaints from people in Cecil with Verizon. I have Verizon service. You can see my property right there. My phone doesn't work in 3/4 of my house. I don't have a home phone. I exclusively use my cell phone for business, for everything. So there is a need for the tower.
Thank you.
I appreciate that.
Miss Penn State?
Miss Penn State, I wondered where that came from.
I don't know her name.
Alyssa Zanissa. I live at 250 Cumer Road. So I have a question about the tower. Okay, so there's one 1.4 miles away. Okay, we live in a technology era. Why can't you just update the tower down, put new software on it, new components, make it better? Why do you need to put another one? That makes no sense to me. That's all I have to say.
Can anybody answer that?
Yeah, I'll defer to the engineer, Mr. Mitchell.
That is something that we do quite often, and we recently came out with new spectrum just within the last 2 years, updated all the equipment on many cell sites in the Pittsburgh area, new antennas, new equipment, so that is something that we do.
Then why can't you do it here?
I can't speak specifically, but I'm sure that we have done it.
Can I be honest? This kind of addresses this is what I'm struggling with. So this is your existing network coverage. This will be your coverage of the proposed site. To me, I mean, there's very little difference. And I know I keep harping on that, but there's very little difference between the two. And to me, to like put this in their backyard, to have for very little coverage enhancement doesn't make sense to me.
One thing we can't visualize is the capacity, the demand, how much data is going through it. I can't put that on the map. So the usage, the number of users is large enough that we see statistics of calls dropping, data just not reaching the phone because there's just too many simultaneous users trying to access the network via cell sites.
Bruce, would you put that map back up that Ms. Fisher was showing? The coverage of the area that's currently,
That's with the existing technology as well, right?
Correct, that's Verizon 4G.
that area in the white below your yellow tower designation, that looks like that's the Village of Muse and all the new plans, Mayfair Meadows and Pristine Fields. Is that's what we see, that you're implying that they don't have any coverage at all there?
And our pasture field, I think.
Hey, was that the target area for that concentrated area of population?
Yes. But again, it's twofold. So there's new coverage to the south, residential coverage in the town of Muse, but there's also the existing usage of the town of Venice, the site of Venice.
So you're saying that the people that are currently serviced will get better service than they already have right now?
Yes.
I never had an issue with Verizon. I had Verizon for years.
Never. I mean, I really wish we could ask that question because, again, I'm not to
And
be,
that's fine, I mean, those
not
are-
to be.
But I think that the best evidence that was presented regarding the usage was a gentleman that lives in the vicinity of the site. And I think his testimony is exactly what Mr. Mitchell was talking about. As people eliminate their landlines and use their mobile devices, it causes stress to the network. So even in those areas where we're showing there is coverage, the gentleman testified that there is not coverage. I know in my own home, if I'm trying to generate a call in my basement, you have very low power, you have block walls. Calls don't generate, you can't access the internet, you can't send an email. So with those field conditions and the topography of western Pennsylvania, you're finding that the network is stressed and you can't generate. We wouldn't be building this tonight, believe me. I have 4 children. I'd rather be at home tonight with them if there wasn't a need to provide more signal to this vicinity.
Mr.
I
Hagan.
have a design question. I'm not a licensed engineer, but I am an electrical engineer.
Can you come up to the microphone?
Sure. So in certain situations like this, is there some other alternative that you can have that would pipe some of the RF traffic in the blue, that would increase your capacity, and get it onto a fiber network or a wired network that would alleviate some of the congestion and the capacity? And this other fellow, he's trying to put a call through, he's not going to get bumped up. Is there an option to do that? I mean, do you have...
Not for Verizon Wireless, but if you have home Wi-Fi, Comcast, I'm not sure who services this area.
So you don't have anything at all that you'd be able to put an antenna in a low-lying area and send it over a wired network or fiber network? You don't have any technology like that at all?
We have what Mr. Cortez was describing as a small cell technology, which is very hotspot oriented, University of Pittsburgh, downtown Pittsburgh. It's for dense urban areas.
Okay, what about use for the areas around there where you have a housing plan, where you have a lot of use? Have you ever looked at any of that? That's a design question.
Yeah, so you hypothetically, I'm not saying specifically that we would, but you could do it in an area like Muse, but that's only solving half the problem. So you
What
spend-
about satellite systems?
We don't operate satellites.
Well, I'm asking you, is there an alternative?
I think I spoke to Motorola's system that they launched in the mid to late 1990s. They invested billions of dollars in a low orbiting satellite system. Those satellites have been all decommissioned and eliminated. The Wall Street Journal dubbed that one of the worst business failures in modern times.
Could we let him finish the
It
question?
just didn't work. I'm sorry, I'm not an engineer.
I mean,
But-
Wait,
that's
Mr.
pretty-
Wait,
Yeah,
he
Dennis,
wants to.
Dennis, someone help us on the floor there, please hold it.
Yeah,
He asked me a question about satellites and I answered his question.
no, but he wasn't done answering Mr. Yeager's
Okay,
question.
I'm sorry.
So there is a small cell technology, and hypothetically you could apply it to Muse, but then you wouldn't be solving the existing problem.
You wouldn't be alleviating the capacity problem that we're talking about?
No.
If you went every use?
No,
Really?
that would provide the coverage to Muse.
No, you would relieve some of the capacity problems that you're having now in the blue area that you're talking about that you're going to service better. You wouldn't do that? You wouldn't, if you added one of these additional...
It's a small cell, it covers maybe 20 feet.
That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about something that you would have a tower that's 20 feet off the ground. You get what's in a smaller area, and you pipe it into your wired network and your fiber network in your school. Like on top of the new school or the company store in the middle of town.
I'm not familiar with anything like that.
You should be, because you're going to propose a $350,000 site, and you're not familiar?
Right.
Somebody didn't do their
This
homework.
is a mile radius, it's a large, it's not a small,
Okay.
not a small area.
To answer the question in more layman terms, this is what's called a macro site. This site is designed to cover a large geographical area and to hand off to the existing towers. The technology that Mr. Mishler talked about, small cells, is a very small concentration of radiated signal.
Well, we're going
That
to
does
end
not
up with a
work.
cell tower every mile and a half, all the way across Cecil Township. Can you imagine what that's going to look like?
It's a challenge to the network, and it's not just Cecil
It's not a
Township.
challenge to the network, it's a challenge to the people that have to live around it,
Live there.
okay?
I would just submit that the same challenges that Verizon is facing.
What do you do
Cecil,
in someplace like Newark, New Jersey, or downtown New York City?
You have more sites.
Really?
It's not any different, there's more sites, absolutely. As I was saying earlier, just in South Point, by way of example, they built a macro site on a rooftop. That rooftop site is not radiating enough signal in order to get into the building. So they need an in-building radio distribution system so that those users can access the network. That's the reality of it.
What's the point of that then? What's the point?
Well,
of
the signal that's on a rooftop is generating away from the property. It's designed to cover the surrounding area, not necessarily cover inside the building. If, for example, in your own home, you may not have coverage. I think the gentleman spoke to that. There are available network extenders that will extend the network to apply to better improve the coverage. It gets back to, and your questions were very well received by me. Believe me, I'm not an engineer, but having done this for so long, I have the same questions in my mind, and I challenge the radio frequency engineers frequently about those same questions. Why doesn't it work? Well, as you get further away from the tower, it's low power, it's higher frequency, and you have field conditions that prevent the signal from propagating to get to your device. So they're constantly having to tweak the network to address the field conditions. And when you're building new sites and you have more users on a network that don't have access to a landline and they're using their mobile device, it stresses the system.
Anybody else want to come up and make any comments or ask any questions? I thought I saw a couple other people before.
I got one more concern, just to go back to, first, you put that map back on. It's basically an environmental thing, I guess. This tower site, these areas about point right down to where my house is this going to be disrupting existing springs and stuff that I rely on and my son relies on? Has that been addressed, or is that a gateway question?
Tim could probably answer it. I think there was a permit required at the County Conservation District.
Yes, yes, there's a DEP and PDS permit that governs.
Please talk to the microphone so everybody can hear.
There's a DEP and PDS permit that's required that Washington County actually had the authority to approve. So that was submitted to them, as far as our design water runoff was submitted to them and they approved it.
Well, I don't know if he necessarily meant runoff as opposed to disruption.
I didn't want to answer if there's any springs in that immediate area to get the engineer of
He's
record.
telling you there is.
There is.
There is. I'm not an engineer, I could get the engineer of record to speak to that if you'd like.
Yeah, I mean, I think it makes sense to answer that question before we
The
have.
question is, are we disturbing any springs to the east? Okay, I can get that.
That's downhill from the tower right to, we rely on that water.
We can get a letter of the engineer of record to address that, any springs.
I think that's necessary, yes.
Absolutely.
All right, go ahead, your turn.
And then